Birthdays used to mean something. A dinner, a card, a text, at the very least. Something to say you exist, you matter. This year? Nothing. No happy birthday, no cake, no gift bag with those cheap socks she always picked up last minute. Just the buzz of the fridge and the sound of forks clinking off plates as my daughter scrolled through her phone and my wife talked about a Pinterest board for someone else's baby shower. I sat at the table like an extra in someone else's movie. And then, just as I was about to clear my own plate like some sad butler in a paper crown, I saw it. The photo. It was propped on the mantel. New. Freshly framed. Everyone was smiling. My wife, our daughter, her parents, even our golden retriever, Zeus. But where my face should have been, there was a jagged oval of empty air. Propped clean out like I was an infection they didn't want spreading to the frame. I stared at it. Stared so long my vision tunneled. No one noticed. No one even flinched. Not a soul said, "Hey, where's Dad?" Because in this house, I've been fading for years. I just hadn't realized how invisible I'd become until they literally cut me out. So I stood up, took my empty coffee cup to the sink, and I smiled. Because something in me finally snapped. Not with rage, not with some wild tantrum. No, this was a quiet kind of breaking. Cold. Clean. The kind of break that lets light in. The next day, I handed her the envelope. We were in the kitchen. She was scrolling Instagram, giggling at a meme some friend had sent her. Probably one of those friends I stopped meeting 3 years ago when they all started calling me so serious. I placed the envelope on the table, gently. "Don't open it here," I said. Calm. Smooth. The kind of calm that unsettles more than a scream ever could. She blinked. Looked at it like it might bite. "What's this?" "Something I wanted to give you yesterday," I said. But the moment didn't feel right. Of course, she opened it anyway. Of course, she didn't listen. And when she pulled out the photos, grainy stills from a motel hallway camera, a receipt for 2 glasses of Merlot and a room at the Lilac Inn, and the screenshot of her text with Bryce Pilates. I watched the blood drain from her face like someone had cracked the bottom of her jaw and let it all spill out. "Oh my God," she whispered. "I can explain." "You don't need to," I said. Because this wasn't about explanations. This was about exposure. I walked to the door, picked up my keys, turned back just long enough to say, "You cropped me out of your picture. I'm just returning the favor." Then I left. I didn't go far. Didn't need to. That's the thing about calculated exits. They're not about leaving. They're about letting the silence echo. About making the guilty sit in the rot they built. I sat in my truck 2 blocks down, engine off, radio dead. Just the ticking of the cooling engine and the thought. She opened it. I didn't need to see her reaction. I had imagined it for weeks. The flicker of confusion. The tightening grip on the envelope. The widening eyes as the lie she'd been living got called out in ink and evidence. Not a guess. Not a gut feeling. Proof. A motel camera doesn't lie. A timestamp doesn't lie. The sweat-stained room receipt with a dinner for 2 and a checkout the next morning doesn't lie. But she would. Oh, she would try. Let me rewind. A month ago, Bryce started showing up in conversation. First as just some guy from Pilates, which, by the way, she never went to before this summer. Suddenly it was her me time. An hour here. 2 hours there. Then drinks with the girls that never involved a single female contact on her text threads. I checked. I learned how to check. Because you don't survive betrayal without learning the tools of detection. They always say the devil's in the details. Nah. The devil's in the repetition. Same excuses. Same outfits. Same lipstick shade she never wore for me. The woman I married never cared for perfume. The one coming home lately? Smelled like a Macy's aisle. She was different. Just enough to notice if you were paying attention. I was. Back at the house, she wasn't texting. That was the first sign. Normally, I'd get 3 in a row. "Where are you?" Followed by, "We need to talk." Then the classic, "Please just come home." Instead, silence. Because she knew this wasn't going to be like last time. Yeah, there was a last time. 5 years ago. Another name. Another, he didn't mean anything. We went to counseling. Did the whole, let's rebuild routine? I believed it. Because I wanted to. This time, I wasn't interested in rebuilding. This time, I'd already started packing. Not my stuff, hers. I'd rented a storage unit 3 weeks ago. Paid 6 months in advance. Started moving boxes in secret. The guest room closet. The garage shelf. The crawl space. I was emptying my life of her without her even noticing. And on my birthday, that was the final nail. That photo frame on the mantel. Not even crooked. Placed perfectly. Intentionally. That took effort. You don't crop someone out by accident. That wasn't neglect. That was choice. They made a memory, then erased me from it. That night, I stayed at a buddy's place. Real salt-of-the-earth guy. Dave. Used to work with me back before he left for carpentry full-time. His wife died of cancer last year, and he's been drowning in silence ever since. When I called, he just said, "Doors open, man." Didn't ask questions. Didn't need to. I cracked open a beer, leaned back on his dusty couch, and exhaled like I hadn't breathed in months. Rough night? Dave asked. I stared at the ceiling fan spinning above. More like a long war. He nodded slowly. You fightin' to win? I gave a half smile. Nope. I already won. She just hasn't realized it yet. Because here's the truth. I'm not the man she married. I'm the man she made. And I'm just getting started. I didn't go back the next day. Or the one after. Let her stew in it. Let her turn over every photo in that envelope like some twisted game of Guess Who, wondering how deep it all goes. I didn't give her answers. Just clues. Like a puzzle she could only solve by looking inward, and trust me, narcissists hate mirrors. But here's the thing about a well-played move. It always has layers. The first envelope was emotional detonation. The second? Strategy. It was already sitting in the drawer of my home office, labeled with her name in handwriting she knew well. I left it just visible enough for her to find. And she did, because when you've been caught, your next step is always a frantic scramble for control. She would have opened every drawer in that house looking for a reset button. Instead, she found her sentence. Inside the envelope was a single sheet of paper, a list. Dates, times, addresses, conversations, a couple photos, and one USB drive taped to the back with a sticky note that read, "Play this when you're alone. I'm doing you a kindness." Now, let me tell you what was on that drive. It wasn't just footage of her and Bryce, the hallway camera, the hotel bill, the audio recording of her telling him, he's just so dull lately. No, that would have been too easy, too direct. That would have made her the star. Instead, the video started with a photo slideshow, our wedding, our daughter's first steps, the house when we bought it, back when she used to talk about painting the nursery yellow. Then a fade-in, black screen. My voice. Funny how memory works. You said you wanted forever. You said I was your best friend. But the minute life got boring, you chose fireworks over foundation. I built a life. You played pretend. And then came the audio clip from our daughter's recital. You know, the one I took off work to attend while she said she had a work dinner. She missed her own daughter's solo. For Bryce. The clip ended with our girl saying, "Did Mom even come?" That was the dagger. That was what made her cry. Not the affair. The realization that the person she was trying to replace didn't need replacing. That she'd already lost something real, something even Bryce couldn't fake. Meanwhile, I was staying busy. I'd already talked to a lawyer quietly. Let him read the prenup she smugly had me sign back when she thought I was some desperate puppy in love. Thing is, I wasn't just a puppy, I was a wolf with patience. Guess what? The prenup had a clause about infidelity nullifying asset protection. Guess what else? The motel receipt? Timestamped during our marriage. Her texts? Admissible. Surveillance footage? Legal, captured in public spaces and a property I own. So now I wasn't just walking out. I was walking out with everything that mattered. The house? Mine. Paid for by my paycheck and my father's inheritance. Her name was never on the deed. She didn't want to deal with the paperwork. Cute, right? Custody? Already filed. My daughter? She was coming with me. Because she saw it too. Kids always do. They feel the cold in the room before anyone else does. On the third morning, my phone buzzed. Blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. Her voice cracked through the speaker, raw and shaking. Please. I don't know how we got here. I made a mistake. Please come home. I can fix this. She still didn't get it. She thought this was about coming home. She thought this was a fight. No, sweetheart. This was the finale. And the curtains were already down. 2 days after her voicemail, Bryce showed up at my door. I was in the garage, organizing the last of the boxes. Not hers, mine. My tools, my daughter's keepsakes, the old wooden train set I'd planned to pass down one day. The kind of things you keep close when you start over. I heard the tires crunch on gravel and the slam of a car door. Then his voice. Smug. Smooth. Silicon polite. Hey, man. We should talk. I didn't look up right away. I just kept wrapping the hammer in an old towel, slow and steady, because I knew this wasn't a man coming to apologize. This was a man coming to stake a claim. I turned. Bryce was standing there in that tight polo shirt posture, like life was one big networking event, and I was the name tag he forgot to peel off. Hair gelled. Sunglasses perched on his head like a crown he didn't earn. "Look," he said, hands raised like some peace offering. "Things got messy, but I care about her. You weren't making her happy. That's not entirely your fault, but..." I laughed. Once. Sharp. That stopped him cold. "You think I care what you feel?" I asked, stepping forward. "You think this is some contest and you're walking away with a trophy? I'm not trying to start a fight." "Good," I said, deadpan. "Because I already won it." He frowned. The mask cracked. "Just a bit." I gestured to the driveway. "You see that car?" "Yeah." "Paid off. Title in my name. Just like the house. Just like custody papers I filed yesterday. You and her wanted each other? You got each other. She comes with no house, no money, and no daughter. Just you. Enjoy." He opened his mouth, then closed it. I could see the equation running behind his eyes. The cost-benefit of betrayal. What she offered him, now that everything else was gone. "You planned this," he muttered. "No," I said. "She did." I just responded accordingly. Later that night, she showed up. Of course she did. Hair damp from a stress shower. Hoodie too big, probably mine. No makeup. Just hollow eyes and a red nose from crying. "Bryce left," she said. "He said this wasn't what he signed up for." I didn't say anything. Just watched her like a stranger. "He didn't even fight for me." "Neither did you," I said quietly. That was the moment she broke. Not with a scream. Not with some grand apology. She just slumped. The arrogance gone. The deflection dead. And all that was left was a woman who bet against the one person who never stopped showing up and lost everything. "Can we talk?" she asked, voice barely a whisper. I opened the door wider. "Sure," I said. "You can talk." And I let her walk inside. Not because I wanted her back, but because sometimes letting someone speak is the most brutal silence you can serve. Let her say every sorry she rehearsed. Let her stammer and explain and try to spin it like the affair was a symptom and not a decision. Let her paint herself as lost. Because when people finally see they've become the villain, the worst thing you can do is deny them the stage. Let them monologue. Let them see what they've done. Then walk away during the credits. 3 days after Bryce vanished, no text, no calls, no goodbye, she tried shifting gears. From wife trying to reconcile to mother trying to reconnect. She showed up outside our daughter's school, leaning on the hood of her car like some sentimental movie moment. Problem was, kids don't forget the silent spaces. The no-shows. The empty seats at dance recitals. The cold leftovers from late nights at work. So when our daughter came out and saw her standing there with that too bright smile and hopeful eyes, she froze. Didn't run. Didn't wave. Just stared, like she didn't know whether to walk over or wait for someone to tell her it was safe. That's the cost of betrayal. Not just the partner you lose, but the trust of the innocent ones who didn't even get a vote. I pulled up to the curb just as she crouched down, trying to hug her. Our daughter flinched. I saw it. Like something in her instinct said, "This doesn't feel like mom anymore." I stepped out of the car and calmly walked over. "She with you this weekend?" I asked, cool and flat. She looked up, eyes tired, mascara clinging to hope. "I was hoping maybe we could all get dinner. The 3 of us." "We're not a 3 anymore," I said. "We're a 2. And right now, 2's enough." Our daughter clung to my arm. Not tight. Just enough to make a point. I didn't say another word. Just walked her to the car, buckled her in, and drove away while her mother stood on the sidewalk, holding an apology no one asked for. Later that night, I found a note on my windshield. Handwritten. From her. "Please, let me explain to her. She deserves to hear it from me. Let me be her mother again." The words, "her mother," were underlined. The ink was smudged. She still didn't get it. Motherhood isn't a job you can clock back into after you've ghosted your shift for a year. You don't get to abandon the small things, the bedtime stories, the science projects, the nights they cried and asked why mom wasn't home, and then come back like you've earned a reset. This isn't a video game. This is real life. And in real life, the damage isn't pixelated. It bleeds. I let our daughter decide. I showed her the note. She read it. Silent. Thoughtful. Then looked up at me and asked, "Can I write her back?" I hesitated. Of course. She grabbed a pen. One of those glittery purple ones from her art kit. Folded a piece of notebook paper and wrote, slowly, carefully, "You can still be my mom, but I don't know if I can call you that yet. Please don't wait for me after school anymore. It makes me feel weird. I'll let you know when I'm ready. Love, maybe one day me. That maybe one day hit harder than any gavel in court. Because that's what real loss sounds like. Not rage. Just distance. Just a child learning that love has boundaries. And once you cross them, it takes more than words to find your way back. A week passed. Then came the email. From a law firm I'd never heard of, clean serif font, polite phrasing, soulless tone. My wife had hired counsel. She was filing for joint custody. Wanted equal time, equal say, and a reevaluation of existing arrangements. Cute. That's the thing about people who trade commitment for convenience. They forget that actions have paper trails. Timelines. Witnesses. Receipts. All waiting to be stapled into exhibits and passed to a judge who's seen every version of "I didn't mean it." I read the email twice, smiled without humor, then hit forward. My attorney already had a folder thick enough to require a rubber band. Surveillance timestamps. School absence logs. The parenting calendar she never once followed. Hell, even text messages she sent to our daughter canceling weekends like she was bailing on brunch, not a child. This wasn't about custody. This was about ego. She couldn't win back her family, so she was trying to win back control. In court, she dressed in soft tones. Light blue blouse, pearl studs, hair tied neatly back. The kind of outfit that says I'm harmless, I'm reasonable, I just want what's fair. I wore black. No frills. No pity. Just facts. The judge, a silver-haired woman with eyes like a steel trap, asked the usual questions. Schedule. Stability. Willingness to co-parent. My wife's lawyer spoke of rebuilding the maternal bond. Mine spoke of documented neglect, inconsistency, and emotional harm. But it was the letter, my daughter's letter, that did the real damage. I hadn't planned to bring it. But when the judge asked if our daughter had expressed any preferences, I handed it over. She read it aloud. You can still be my mom, but I don't know if I can call you that yet. I'll let you know when I'm ready. The courtroom went quiet. My wife looked down. For the first time, no performance. No tears. Just stillness. Because the truth has a sound. And that was it. We left the courthouse with me holding sole legal custody. She got supervised visitation by her own request, because even she could read the writing on the wall. Outside, she caught me in the parking lot. You really think I'm a monster, she said. I shrugged. No, monsters are honest. They don't pretend. She folded her arms, looked out over the street. I didn't plan for any of this. Neither did I said. But here we are. She looked at me, suddenly soft again. That dangerous softness that once made me drop every defense I had. Do you think she'll ever forgive me? I didn't answer. Because that wasn't my forgiveness to give. That night, I tucked my daughter in. She asked if I was okay. I smiled. I'm okay now. She curled up under the blankets and whispered, I don't miss her right now. Is that bad? I kissed her forehead. It's not bad. It's honest. She nodded. Maybe one day. Yeah, maybe. But if that day ever comes, she'll come home on her own terms. Not through manipulation or guilt, but because she wants to. That's what makes love real. You don't claim it. You earn it. It happened at the fall festival. Small town charm on full display. Kids in face paint, pumpkin carving booths, the scent of kettle corn in the air. It was the first normal Saturday we'd had in months. Me and my daughter, just two people rediscovering joy where betrayal once lived. She was laughing again. Unfiltered. Freckled cheeks flushed with the breeze. Cotton candy sticking to her fingers. I almost let myself forget that shadows don't die quietly. Then I saw her. My ex. Positioned just so near the hayrides. Hair curled. Fall colors. Leather boots too clean for actual walking. Flanked by a local photographer from the community paper. The one who snaps candids for fluff pieces about apple cider and bake sales. And beside her, a little table. Paper pumpkins. Glitter markers. Write a note to your mom. She'll read them all. The sign said in cursive letters. Sweet. Heartwarming. Carefully staged. She wasn't there to see her daughter. She was there to be seen. I stood still, watching. She wasn't even looking for our daughter. She was waving at strangers, posing with borrowed kids, laughing too loud at nothing. Every move choreographed to play the part of the lovable, wronged mother rebuilding trust. Some people seek redemption. Others manufacture it. I turned to my daughter, who was sipping cider from a paper cup. Do you want to go over there? I asked. Calm. Neutral. She looked over. Squinted. Shook her head. She didn't see me at my science fair, she said. Why would I see her here? Then she walked off toward the pie eating contest. 13 years old, and already wiser than the woman who gave her life. I could have left it there. Let the circus run its course. Let her bask in applause from people who didn't know the script. But some truths deserve their own spotlight. So I walked to the photographer, Jason. Good guy. Shot our family Christmas card 3 years ago before the house cracked in half. Hey, man, I said. Could I get a look at those shots before you run them? He blinked. Sure. You're still okay with the paper? I smiled. Oh, absolutely. Just want to make sure the full story gets told. That's when I handed him the envelope. The third one. Not for her. For the public. Inside? A typed summary of the custody order. The visitation logs. The timestamps from court. All legal. All verifiable. All tied to her name and her Rebuilt Mom Act. No slander. No accusations. Just facts. Jason's face fell. You want me to publish this? No. I want you to understand who you're spotlighting. What you do with it is up to you. He nodded slowly. Appreciate the heads up. By Monday, the photo never made the paper. The fluff piece ran, sure. But her table? Cropped out. No mention. No caption. No community halo. Just silence. And that was enough. That night, she called me. Blocked number, again. You couldn't let me have one moment, she said. You've had 100 moments, I replied. None of them earned. She scoffed. You're cruel. No. I'm honest. The difference? Honesty doesn't need a photographer. I hung up, not out of anger, but because some people don't deserve answers. They deserve endings. A week passed. The quiet held. No calls. No tears on doorsteps. No emails about shared memories or our daughter deserves better. Just peace. Until the letter came. Plain white envelope. No return address. Just my name in careful cursive across the front, like it came from a stranger trying too hard to seem familiar. I opened it slowly, already bracing for the next punch. I expected more guilt. More revisionist history. Another rewrite of the affair to make it sound like self-discovery instead of sabotage. What I got was worse. It wasn't from her. It was from her mother. Dear my name. I debated whether I should write this, but seeing the toll this has taken on our family, I feel it's time to offer my perspective. You were always a steady presence. Responsible. Quiet. Predictable. And while those are fine qualities in a provider, they don't always ignite passion. My daughter was searching for something more. I stopped reading for a moment. Something more. That's what this was now? A polite excuse from one generation to the next for why wrecking a family was just passion gone rogue? I kept going. We all make mistakes, and while I don't condone her choices, I do hope you'll recognize your part in how distant your marriage had become. Sometimes when a woman feels unseen, she acts out in ways even she doesn't fully understand. There it was. The classic maneuver. Frame the betrayal as a cry for help. Make it emotional instead of deliberate. Drown it in sympathy, and maybe no one will notice the wreckage. But the real kicker was the last line. Please don't punish her forever. We're all human, and your daughter deserves to see her parents forgive each other. If not for her sake, then for yours. Forgive? As if forgiveness was a dial I could turn back with enough pressure. As if I hadn't already paid for every kindness I gave that woman and loyalty I never got back. I folded the letter and slid it back into the envelope. Didn't shred it. Didn't burn it. No, I placed it in the same file as the rest. Because someday, when my daughter is older, when she wants to know how her family unraveled, I'll hand her the truth, not my version. The version. The receipts. The timelines. The letters that tried to rewrite betrayal into misunderstandings. She deserves clarity. She'll get it. That night, my daughter asked, "Do you think people can change?" I paused, then answered the only way I knew how. I think people can lie to themselves so long, they forget they already made their choice. She looked up from her book, thoughtful. Then maybe it's okay if we don't let them back in. I nodded. Maybe it's more than okay. Maybe it's the only way we stay whole. It always starts the same way. A message from someone who just wants to help. This one came from Jared, mutual friend, or so I thought. We'd all gone to college together. He was the guy who cracked open beers at our wedding, gave the love like lightning speech, toasted us like he believed in forever. Now he was texting me phrases like, "Man, she's really not doing well. She's hurting." And my favorite, "You two were good once. Can't you just sit down and talk? Just the two of you. No lawyers. The two of us? We weren't a two anymore. We were a courtroom file and a faded set of vows she'd turned into compost. I didn't answer right away. I let him sweat. Because this wasn't about her. This was about seeing who stood where when the dust finally settled. When love turned to loyalty tests. And Jared? He failed his. 3 hours later, I called him. You got 5 minutes? I asked. He sounded relieved. Yeah, dude. I just think you both need closure. I let him talk. Ramble. Defend. He kept using words like misstep and bad judgment, like she accidentally filed a parking ticket late and not demolished a family. When he paused to breathe, I asked, Jared, where were you when she missed the parent-teacher meeting? What? When she skipped the science fair? When she said she'd pick our daughter up and didn't? Where were you? He stammered. I didn't know. Of course you didn't. Because she doesn't tell you those parts. Just the teary-eyed ones. The tragic chapters with her as the misunderstood heroine. Silence. Let me guess, I continued. She told you I was cold, distant, obsessive with work, that I stopped trying, right? She may have said something like that. I laughed. Quiet. Tired. Do you know how many dance recitals I filmed alone while she was out finding herself in motel rooms, Jared? He didn't answer. You want to help? Here's how, I said. Don't be her megaphone. Be her mirror. Then I hung up. He sent me a long text after that. Didn't read it. Blocked him. Friendship isn't a shared history. It's shared principles. You can't say you're in my corner while carrying water for the woman who set it on fire. Later that night, my daughter asked why Uncle Jared wasn't coming around anymore. He said something mean to Mom, she guessed. I shook my head. He just forgot who the real victim was. She looked confused, so I explained. When someone breaks a window and cuts their hand on the glass, they don't get to cry louder than the people who lived inside. She nodded slowly, thoughtful. That's kinda like lying about being sad when you're the one who made people sad. Exactly. Out of the mouths of babes. It was a Sunday. Crisp air, early leaves rustling on the sidewalk. I was in the middle of making breakfast, eggs, toast, that cinnamon coffee my daughter says smells like happy. She was still upstairs, probably choosing a hoodie based on which one looked least like Dad picked it. I didn't hear her car pull up. Didn't need to. I knew she was there the moment I felt the temperature shift, like a sudden draft in a locked house. Some people bring sunshine when they walk in the room. She brought fog. A hard knock at the door. Sharp. Aggressive. I opened it, and there she was. Hair tied back tight. Eyes rimmed red, not from crying, but fury. Lips pressed into a line that could cut glass. No hello. No soft act this time. You told people, she snapped. About the hotel. The affair. My mother heard from someone at the wine club. I leaned against the doorframe. Calm. I told the truth, I said. You had no right. You gave up rights, I interrupted, when you decided your pleasure was worth more than your daughter's peace. She glared, breathing hard. Do you know how hard this has been on me? There it was. That line. I almost laughed. You want sympathy, I said. Get a therapist. You want redemption? Try being a consistent mother for once. I made a mistake. No, I said. You made a series of deliberate, selfish decisions and labeled them a mistake because now they cost you something. She stepped closer. You're poisoning her against me. No, I said, stepping back inside. You did that all by yourself. I just stopped covering for you. She reached out, palm open like she was about to say something softer, some last-minute attempt to rewind the tape. I didn't flinch. Didn't fold. Didn't fear her. That's when it happened, the mask cracked. Her voice dropped. You always acted like you were better than me. I tilted my head. No. I just never lowered myself to your level. And then I closed the door. Not slammed. Just closed. Because this wasn't rage anymore. It was resolve. And I could finally see it in her eyes, the one thing she never expected from me. Indifference. 10 minutes later, my daughter came downstairs. Was that her? She asked, sitting at the table. I nodded. She looked mad. She is, I said. Truth has that effect on people who lie for a living. She stirred her cocoa. You okay? I smiled. I'm finally getting there. It showed up folded in thirds, tucked between math homework and a library flyer. No envelope. Just a loose sheet of floral stationery in my daughter's backpack. She handed it to me without a word. Didn't look angry. Didn't look scared. Just tired. That's how you know a child's been through enough. When they stop asking why adults do what they do, and just start managing the fallout. She gave it to me when I got in the car, she mumbled. Said not to tell you. I didn't ask how. I didn't ask when. I just opened it. My dearest girl, I know things have been confusing lately. I know Daddy is trying to protect you, but you're old enough now to decide for yourself who people really are. I'm still your mom. The same mom who held you when you were sick, who sang to you at bedtime, who made you heart-shaped pancakes every Valentine's Day. Don't let anyone rewrite our story. You'll understand someday why I did what I did. Grown-up things are complicated, but love isn't. I love you more than anything, and nothing, not even what Daddy says, can change that. Please call me. I miss your voice. Love. Mom. She weaponized memory. That was her last card. Not legal custody, not community reputation. She had lost those battles. So now, she was aiming for something purer, something raw, the fragile faith of a child. Except, this child had lived the story. She didn't need to be told what was true. She felt the truth. All those Valentine's Day pancakes. I made those, while she slept off wine headaches. All those bedtime songs. That was me humming in the doorway while Mom finished a call. And every time our daughter asked why she missed another dinner, I was the one lying for her. Until I didn't anymore. Later that night, I sat with my daughter on the couch. Cartoon reruns in the background. She was unusually quiet. Want to talk about the letter? I asked. She nodded. It made me feel weird. Like I'm supposed to feel sorry. Do you? She thought about it. Then shook her head. I just feel like she's trying to make me forget the parts that hurt. I smiled. Not because I was happy, but because I knew she saw it. You're allowed to love someone, I said, and still not let them back into your life. She leaned against my arm. What do I do? Nothing, I said. You're not the one who has to fix anything. That's her job. She whispered, okay. And we sat there, not as a broken family, but as the part that survived. It was a Thursday when Jared came back. No warning. No message. Just a knock at the garage door, the one I always left cracked when I was working on the mower or pretending to fix what didn't need fixing, just to stay busy. I opened the door, expecting a delivery, or maybe the neighbor's kid asking to borrow a socket wrench. But there he was. Jared. Hands in his pockets, face half-shadowed by guilt, and a ball cap he hadn't earned the right to wear around here anymore. I owe you something, he said. Not a hello. Not even a sorry. But his voice didn't carry the arrogance from before. It was quieter. Ashen. I crossed my arms. Then say it and go. He took a breath like he was about to jump off a roof. I should have told you months ago. There's more than just Bryce. The words didn't land like a punch, not this far in. I didn't flinch. I'd already stopped bleeding. How far back? I asked. 2 years. Maybe more. Names. He looked down. One I knew for sure. One was just a guess. But there was a guy. He worked at her old office, before the Pilates phase. They were at a conference together. Stayed an extra night. I thought they were just co-workers until I saw her coming out of his car one morning, back when we all used to meet for brunch. Her blouse was inside out. My jaw didn't clench. My hands didn't shake. You get numb, after a while. You run out of room to hurt. Why tell me now? I asked. Jared looked ashamed. Good. Because I told her I wouldn't. She made me promise. Said you'd never believe me anyway. But after that voicemail you left me, I realized who I was protecting. He looked me in the eye for the first time. It wasn't you. I nodded. No, it wasn't. After he left, I sat on the back porch for a while. Just thinking. 2 years. That meant the affair I knew about was just the one she didn't bother to hide. It wasn't a crack in the foundation. It was termites in the beams. And all those nights she kissed me goodnight, they were bookends to lies. Periods at the end of sentences she never meant. I looked across the yard, where my daughter's bike leaned against the tree. She'd asked me once if her mother ever told the truth. I didn't answer then, but I had it now. That night, I printed Jared's statement, tucked it into the file with the motel photos, the court transcripts, the letter from her mother, the screenshots, the letter to our daughter, the whole truth. Because one day, my daughter will ask again. And when she does, I won't sugarcoat it. I'll hand her the story, start to finish. So she never wonders if her instincts lied. So she never lets someone else redefine her pain. It started small. A soft-filtered photo of a latte. A vague quote about healing. A tag location suspiciously close to our daughter's school. Then it escalated. On a rainy Tuesday afternoon, I got a ping from a friend, one of the real ones. Not a fence-sitter. Not a mutual. She'd posted a picture. Her and our daughter, from 2 years ago. Smiling. Back when things looked whole from the outside, but were already rotting underneath. The caption? Some days I wish I could go back to this moment. Before everything changed. Before I lost time I can't get back. If you know, you know. Broken heart, hashtag mother's love, hashtag time heals, hashtag miss her every day. I stared at the screen. Let it burn into my retinas. Because this wasn't just manipulation. This was revision. She was trying to reframe the story. To cast herself not as the absentee, the liar, the one who turned motel keys into currency, but as the victim of circumstance. The poor mother robbed of her child by a cold, unyielding man. She was counting on people forgetting. She didn't count on me keeping receipts. I didn't engage publicly. Not my style. I don't air dirty laundry, I build gallows with it. But I did post a reply. Just one. Not on her photo, on my own account. Private, quiet, but visible enough for the people who mattered. A photo of our daughter. Real time. Hair wet from the rain, holding up her science fair ribbon, grinning through freckles and crooked teeth. Caption? Proud of her every day. Even the days you never showed up. That was it. No hashtags. No filters. Just truth. Let the followers connect the dots. Within hours, the messages started trickling in. People she hadn't spoken to in years, suddenly reappearing in my inbox. We didn't know. She said you kept her away. Are you okay? I didn't respond to most. But I responded to one. A woman named Dana, her old college roommate. A sweet girl. Always soft-spoken. She wrote. I used to believe her. I really did. But the more she posted, the more it felt off. And after I saw your picture, it all made sense. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. Some of us get it now. I wrote back. Then you're ahead of most. My ex never messaged me about the post. But she unfollowed me 2 hours later. Unfriended. Untagged herself from old memories like the truth might disappear if she could just Control+C the past. But see, that's the thing about digital footprints. They don't vanish. They haunt. Especially when you're the one who left the prints all over your own crime scene. That night, my daughter sat next to me on the couch, scrolling her own feed. She posted a picture of me today, she said flatly. Old one. I asked. She nodded. From the beach. I was 9. You okay? She shrugged. Then, without ceremony, she blocked her. Didn't cry. Didn't monologue. Just hit that little button and set her boundary like a damn grown-up. I'm not her prop, she said. No. I replied, proud rising like heat. You're not. Christmas Eve. The kind of stillness that only snow can bring, muffled streets, golden porch lights, the whisper of something sacred in the air. My daughter was upstairs, wrapping a last-minute gift for her best friend. We just finished setting up the tree. Mismatched ornaments, the same fake pine we'd had since before the divorce. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Then the doorbell rang. I knew before I even opened it. On the porch, a small box. Wrapped neatly. A silver ribbon tied in a bow, like that could make up for the torn-up years behind it. No note. No tag. But I didn't need one. Some ghosts don't knock. They just linger. I brought it inside and placed it on the counter. Didn't touch it. Didn't shake it. I just stared at it while my coffee cooled beside it. She was playing the long game now, trying to claw her way back in through sentiment. Through holiday silence. That sacred season when people let their guard down and mistake longing for forgiveness. But I wasn't the man I was last Christmas. And she wasn't part of this home anymore. My daughter came downstairs in fuzzy socks and a Santa sweatshirt 3 sizes too big. She saw the box and paused. Is that from her? I nodded. No name. No card. But yeah, she stood still for a moment. Then walked to it, picked it up gently, and, without unwrapping, tore a strip right through the middle. One pull. No hesitation. Inside? A photo album. Old pictures. Some I hadn't seen in years. Beach trips, birthdays, her first tooth falling out, me holding her in the hospital room, still in scrubs. Memories. Weaponized. At the back of the book, taped to the inside cover, was a handwritten note. No matter what happened between us, this love was always real. I hope someday you can look back and remember that. Mom. My daughter stared at it for a long time. Then she tore the note out and handed it to me. Can you throw this away? She said. Not bitter. Not angry. Just finished. We kept the album. Because the memories are still ours, even if the people in them didn't stay honest. We placed it on the shelf next to the other albums. But we marked it. A red sticker on the spine. Not to hide it. To remember. Because forgetting isn't healing. It's just erasing. Later that night, I tucked her in. She turned toward me as I pulled the blanket up. Dad, she asked, if I ever have kids, do you think I'll do better? I swallowed hard. You already are. She smiled, closed her eyes. And for the first time in years, I felt the house exhale. It was a Saturday, cold, gray, and utterly forgettable. The kind of day you only remember because something cracked through the fog. I was at the grocery store. Just me and a list scribbled on the back of a napkin. Bread, bananas, frozen waffles. The usual quiet comforts of a weekend in a life rebuilt. I just turned down the coffee aisle when I saw her. Pale blue coat. Same perfume. I could smell it before she looked up. Standing next to the display of overpriced syrups, pretending to care about caramel drizzle when what she really wanted was reaction. She saw me. I saw her. We both paused. No scene. No tears. Just that long second where the past tries to breathe again, only to find its lungs don't work anymore. She spoke first. You look good. Neutral territory. The safest kind of lie. I feel fine, I said, grabbing a bag of dark roast. She took a step closer. Not too close. I didn't think I'd see you again. I shrugged. Life's small. Ours are smaller. A flicker crossed her face. A shadow of the woman I used to know. But even shadows fade. She's growing up so fast, she said, and for once, I didn't hear accusation in it, just ache. I didn't soften. Not this time. She's grounded. Solid. She knows where she stands. Her eyes dropped. She nodded. Quiet. She still doesn't answer my messages. She doesn't owe you that, I said. She owes herself peace. A pause. I miss her. I know. And I did know. Not because I felt pity, but because I once missed her the same way. Missed the idea of her. The shape of her beside me. The version I thought she was. But that version died the day she chose herself over us. I stepped past her, cart rattling gently. She didn't follow. Just stood there, holding a bottle of vanilla syrup like it could explain anything. As I turned into the next aisle, I heard her voice, soft, behind me. I hope you're happy now. I didn't stop. Didn't turn. Just answered over my shoulder. I'm not happy. I'm honest. And that's a start. Back at home, my daughter was on the couch, sketching superheroes with messy ponytails and chipped nail polish. They have powers? I asked. Just one, she said. Telling the truth. I smiled. That's a rare one. I know, she said. That's why she's the only one who's real. It was late February. The kind of cold that hums beneath your skin. I was cleaning out the drawer in the hallway, the one filled with batteries that don't work, keys to doors we no longer own, and instruction manuals for appliances long since broken. And tucked between an expired coupon book and an old phone charger, I found it. A folded sheet of paper. Purple ink. My daughter's handwriting. To the person I used to call Mom. I froze. Not because I was shocked, but because I didn't know she'd started writing her own story. I sat down on the floor, right there among the clutter and forgotten things, and read it. To the person I used to call Mom. I don't hate you. I know that would make it easier for you to believe I'm just being brainwashed. But I don't. I don't even know what I feel half the time. But I know I don't feel safe around you. And I know that matters. You made choices that I wasn't supposed to understand. But guess what? I did. I saw the way you looked at Dad like he was holding you back. I saw the way you left every room early. The way you smiled when you were lying. You stopped being my mom way before you lost custody. You lost me when you started treating me like a prop in your stories instead of a person with a front row seat to everything. I'm still figuring out who I am. And maybe one day I'll want to ask you things. But if you're waiting for me to make the first move, keep waiting. She never gave it to me. Never meant for me to find it. But that made it real. That made it honest. This wasn't a performance. It wasn't a message dressed up in hashtags or fragile apologies. This was her truth. And she wrote it not to wound, but to anchor herself. To say, this happened. And I lived through it. And I know what it cost me. That night, I didn't mention the letter. Didn't tell her I'd found it. I just made her favorite, grilled cheese, the good cheddar, not the pre-sliced stuff. Tomato soup on the side. We ate on the couch, in hoodies and mismatched socks. She laughed at a dumb show we used to watch together, back when the house had more voices but fewer truths. And in that moment, I realized something. She wasn't broken. She was becoming whole. Not despite the damage, but because of it. I slid the letter into the file, not as evidence, but as testimony. One day, if she ever forgets how strong she was, I'll hand it back to her. Proof, not of what she endured, but of what she overcame. It came in a manila envelope this time. Certified mail. Return address. Her lawyer. I already knew what it was before I even opened it. Mediation request. Proposed revision to custody arrangement. I didn't read the fine print right away. Just held it. Felt the weight of it in my hands. Funny how betrayal always finds new ways to package itself, sometimes in hotel receipts, sometimes in tearful letters, and sometimes in 8.5x11 legalese. I sat at the kitchen table while my daughter worked through algebra upstairs. Read it front to back. The proposal was clean, polished, crafted by someone who thought enough ink could smooth out time. They wanted modified visitation, alternate weekends, summer travel consideration, even suggested a therapist, a mutual party, to help navigate the emotional reentry. You know what I didn't see? An apology. A line acknowledging the 2 years missed. The school recital skipped. The birthdays forgotten. The truth. No, this wasn't about connection. This was about correction, not healing. Image control. I walked outside. The air was sharp and honest. I lit the barbecue, not to grill, just to burn off the fog in my chest. To think. After 15 minutes, I knew what I had to do. I didn't reject the form. I rewrote it, marked it up line by line in black pen, like a teacher grading a failing paper. Instead of proposed revisions, I included a breakdown of every visitation missed without explanation, a timeline of contact attempts from my daughter, unanswered, a list of counseling sessions attended by us and missed by her, and finally, a single-page letter. Not from me, from my daughter, the one she never sent, but wrote anyway. I didn't include her name. I didn't need to. Just the words, folded neatly behind the paperwork. A week later, I got an email from the lawyer. Brief, cold. In light of your response, my client has elected to withdraw the current request. No further action will be taken at this time. No defense. No pushback. Just silence. I think she finally understood. This wasn't a court case anymore. This was a verdict. And it had already been passed by the one person who mattered most. That night, my daughter asked if we could repaint her room. Something new, she said. Fresh. She chose a soft green. Calm. Growing. A color that doesn't scream, but never hides. We painted it together. And with every stroke, I felt something old lift from the walls. It was a Tuesday. Mail was light. Just bills, a catalog, and one plain white envelope addressed by hand. No return address. Again. But this one wasn't from her. Inside was a single page, typed. No letterhead. No signature at the bottom. Just words, stark, honest, and sharp as broken glass. You don't know me, but I knew her. Not the version you married. The one after. The one who showed up pretending she was starting over when all she really brought was rubble. I met her when I was managing a cafe out west. She said she was writing a book. Said she had a daughter, but it was complicated. I was divorced, too, so I understood the story. Or thought I did. She talked a lot. Said you didn't understand her. Said you kept her in a box, wouldn't let her breathe. Said you were obsessed with control. But when I listened closely, it wasn't about freedom. It was about attention. She needed to be seen more than she needed to be known. We didn't last long. I found out I was the third guy in a year who'd paid her rent, just until the writing took off. She left behind a plant and a phone charger. That's it. Took the rest and disappeared overnight. I found your name through old mail she left behind. Looked you up. I debated sending this, but I figured maybe you deserve the truth from someone who doesn't owe her anything. Someone who didn't love her. You're not crazy. You're not cruel. And you're not alone. Someone who saw her without the costume. I stared at the letter for a long time. Not because I needed the validation, but because I realized something. She didn't betray a man. She betrayed herself. Every town. Every fresh start. Every rewritten backstory. She shed identities like snakeskin and still wondered why no one stuck around. She wasn't running from me. She was running from being known. And in the end, that's what burned her bridges. Not just the affairs. Not the lies. But the fear that someone, somewhere, might see her without the performance and not clap. I showed the letter to no one. Not my daughter. Not my lawyer. Not even the fire pit in the backyard. I kept it. Because it wasn't for justice. It was for clarity. And clarity? That's the real closure. That night, my daughter and I went out for burgers. No table talk about the past. Just fries, laughter, and a milkshake we agreed was too small for the price but perfect anyway. Do you ever think she'll come back again? She asked. Maybe, I said. But not to stay. Good, she said. I'm not saving her a seat.